3, 2, 1, and we're live. Brant Stockamp, what's up, man? How you doing?
Mr. Werle, what's going on, man?
Dude, good to catch up with you. This is episode 4 of the podcast. I had to get an original F-boy in there.
Love it, man. Really love what you're doing, dude. It's great.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, this is the Conversations podcast with Nick Werle. Nothing too crazy, but we talk about personal development, motivation, work styles. I feel like you and I have always almost at a spiritual level connected on, moving forward in life, trying to get to that next level. And I wanted to ask you about some of that stuff from the time we were living together at 25, 5 years ago, 6 years ago to now. And, let's just have an awesome talk. So
cool, man. Love it.
Dude, man, like first things first, let's talk about this week. Here we are toward the end of COVID. I know you're the proprietor of a couple businesses now. So tell me what you do. How do you spend your time on a Monday in May?
Man, honestly, I've been running around and just got back in time to kind of do this. So my days are honestly so unpredictable that it's honestly tough right now from just a personal standpoint, because I feel like all my friends think I blow them off and I don't like them.
Yeah.
Because I'll make plans and the day of, it feels like at least half of the time, sorry, man, I can't make it. I'm not going to be able to make it. Something came up, but just when you run your own business, you're that person. If you're not there and something goes wrong, it all falls on you. So I have to give up and sacrifice all these little dates and things you have planned, and you got to run in on a moment's notice if something's going on. So yeah, today was just kind of one of those days where you get pulled in 5 different directions, running around, and kind of bringing it all together right here with you now. It feels good to sit down and kind of relax for a minute.
Yeah, that's what it should be. It's whether it's just having a conversation with an old friend or just it doesn't have to be this big thing about formal conversations. It's what's your day like? How do you even just get over stress? You're busy as hell. And for me, I enjoy just catching up with old friends and just talking about it. But I know that you're kind of the guy who runs Ritters with your partners, and you have Ace Party Rental too. You guys are renting tents and wedding stuff. Tell me more about that business.
Yeah. It's funny because you mentioned kind of the COVID thing. So I had obviously a handful of Ritters on one side and a party rental business on the other side, which both kind of have the same seasonality. They both get busy right around, kind of going into the spring, into the summer.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I feel like businesses basically did one of 2 things during COVID. They either thrived and took off and it helped them, or they got crushed. And I had a business on both sides of the spectrum. Ritter's last year had its best year ever, all of the stores. And it's because it was, we have a drive-through. We have a patio, an outdoor patio, and it's a walk-up. We don't have a dining room. It was the perfect COVID business, because people weren't going to school. They weren't going to work as much. There was no sports to watch. They couldn't go on vacation. Yeah. You're stuck at home with your family. What can you do? How can we get out of the house? Some of the parks weren't even open, crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, Ritter's drive-through was open. So that's something you can do with your family. And it was just lines out the parking lot, every night. So wow. There was no quarantine here. There was no staying home, no nothing. We worked right through it.
Yeah. I mean, even just that simple as ice cream. It's so traditional Americana, right?
Right. You wouldn't think that would be the thing taking off right now, but
yeah,
it is. People need a pick me up,
People are looking for the small pleasures in life that are also socially distanced, and hanging out with your family, going to the drive-through, but getting, I know you think frozen custard, Ritter's frozen custard is superior, but whether it's that or ice cream or, some sort of a sweet, it's awesome.
Yeah. I've heard in down times that candy and ice cream shops take off because people they want something to something them feel better about what's going on in the environment around them. It's kind of interesting,
Yeah, I remember in the middle of quarantine, my girlfriend and I, we watched some really trashy TV, and I was just crushing Skittles. I love Skittles, specifically the purple bag.
The purple
And
bag, the wild berry bag, like
it's amazing.
That's actually my favorite as well, dude. I
Yeah,
love a good
it's
fruit candy.
different combinations like make different flavors. But it was wild how much I look forward to just like, even though you were working all day or whatever, some of us had tougher like work situations than other people, but look forward to that bag of Skittles. Um, dude, so you told me a story a couple of months ago just about the beginning of COVID, where you were trying to stand up Ace while working at Ritter's. And I remember you talked about basically being brought to your knees, like financially and just like effort and just energy wise. And I thought it was super inspiring. So I wanted to almost bring that up again. You know, when everything shut down and all those people that had weddings planned that summer, 3 months later, right? 4 months later, through September, this is March of 2020. And, weddings are being canceled and they want their money back. Here you are, you need cash to run your businesses, you need reservations, and you have to tell them, hey, like, I physically can't fulfill this order for you, or like they want to get the refund. It's like, I tell me more about that situation. You're between a rock and a hard place. How do you, keep customers happy while managing
exactly. That's the other side of the coin that we just talked about, right? So like while this is going on at Ritter's, actually this is before it all happened. This was still in that gray area time, right? When I didn't even know if we were going to be able to keep Ritter's open, that like essential businesses only. Because remember in the beginning of COVID, it was like weird, like nobody knew what to do. Like 2 weeks, stay home, essential business only. Like I needed a note, like a letter, like for our kids to like come to work. Like it was a weird time.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like a moment in time, in the beginning, early on, when I borderline panicked. And, every phone call, every email at the party rental business was, hey, we're canceling. And people were freaking out. Like everybody was freaking out. And they were like, we want our money back. Like we need a refund. We're not doing this. We're calling off the wedding. We're calling off the birthday party. Family reunion is a no-go.
Yeah.
And I moved back home. I mean, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I might have no income this year.
Wow.
It might be, all the businesses might be shut down indefinitely. And as after the 2 weeks was over with, and it kept dragging on and dragging on. And, we shut down the party rental business for 3.5 months because there was nothing going out the door, like nothing going out. And your utilities and your rent and your insurance and all that stuff, it's still coming in. Those bills are still coming in.
Yeah.
And this was our going into our second full year with the party rental business. And we were trying to like aggressively grow it. And it's seasonal. So there's not much going on. Nobody's putting up tents, in the middle of the winter. So we had just kind of come out of the winter. Yeah. And we were investing in buying new inventory, trying to get a bunch of new stuff and, be a presentable company. And this was when you go into your busy season and everybody starts making deposits and paying for their events and stuff, and your money comes back up and you're like, okay, we're good again.
Yeah, in the black.
Yeah, we're about to get back in the black. Like we're holding on by like a string here, about to go into our busy season, and then we ramp it up and we do it all over again. And looking back, we kind of overextended ourselves on some of the new inventory and stuff, but we were like, we need these tents to grow and get more business.
Yeah.
So we had put a lot on credit card. We'd taken out some financing for like new trucks and stuff, and mm-hmm. those bills didn't stop.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, COVID hits, basically going into spring. And, like I said, every phone call, every email was cancel. We need to cancel. I just knew when the phone rang, it was somebody calling to cancel and if we could refund their money. Yeah. And those are difficult conversations to have with somebody because sure. They're freaking out. And anytime money's involved, it just gets complicated.
Sure.
And in the beginning, the first time that call came in, I didn't know what to do. And I was like, we're going to have to call you back. And then 20, 30 of those calls came in that day. And we had to sit down and really think about like, what can we do here? Because we really got down to our bottom dollar, like we got down to pretty close to nothing in the bank at that point in time with some credit card debt and these bills just coming and coming.
Yeah.
And we had to be honest with people, like straight up, like, hey, we're a smaller company and everybody's calling and asking for their money back right now. Like we literally cannot give you your money back. Like that deposit that you paid in December, like it's been spent now on rent and stuff. And if we gave everybody their deposits back, we will not have a business to come back to.
I can't believe people had to hear that from you, but it's even though it's the truth, it's so hard to stomach that as a consumer. Like, wait, so you spent my money? It's like, but yes, like we are a small business. Like I have to keep the lights on. If I create something for you later, I won't be here to do that for you, in this situation.
Yeah, and that's how it works. There's a lot of weddings and events get booked in the winter because that's when everybody's kind of slower and they're trying to plan things out.
Yeah.
And legally, like a deposit is non-refundable in this industry.
Yeah.
Because we then take it out of inventory and we're holding it for you. Mm-hmm. Right. So if somebody else calls about that tent, we tell them no, and we turn down money to keep it for you. So legally, we could have just, hit the road and said, sorry, you're completely out of luck. But what we ended up doing was a good middle ground, in my opinion, was we said, hey, look, you want to change your event or you want to cancel it and you want to do something else. We're going to hold your deposit, good for you whenever you want to use it. It's on our books. Reschedule your wedding. I don't care if it's in a year or two, like whatever it is, reschedule it. And we'll apply that deposit towards your next event.
Yeah.
Which I'm not going to like hold them by the book during a pandemic. This is like uncharted territory, like nobody knows how to handle these situations. So we kind of had to make up our own policy that was trying to be as fair as we possibly could be to our customer. Like, hey, if you're canceling your birthday party, put it towards, a family reunion next summer and rent a tent from us again, or give it to somebody else, to do their kid's graduation party and have them pay you. Like, be creative with it. But figure that out quick.
Yeah. The thing about being creative, I think, is really important. Like, how do you think outside the box to solve a problem? And I think like entrepreneurs like you that are running small businesses, you have to do that throughout the day. Like, how do you have a limited amount of resources? You can't just, call up the next technical specialist or the next customer service rep. It's you, and like, how do I take care of this in this small amount of time that I have, I
always joke that like 70% of what I do is just problem solving.
Yeah.
And like, it takes a certain kind of person to do that, but in any given day, something's going to go wrong. Mm-hmm. If everything went by the book, then this would be too easy and everybody would do it. But something goes wrong. Like a delivery truck's going to get a flat tire, it's going to overheat. The Custard machine's going to stop working. The power's going to go out at an ice cream shop and you've got Custard in freezers. The credit card processor's going to go out. Something is going to happen. Yeah. You have to figure out. That's not in the franchise manual. Like there's no like book written on how to do this stuff. It's just totally like, all right, this is what we're going to do. And people will listen and you just kind of figure it out and you're just flowing at that point. Like however we can solve this problem, get on board and let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I think you're someone that I've always admired this about you. It takes a lot to bring you down. And at this point, nothing has, you just keep going and going. When you're on your last breath, I feel like you just go and go, which is awesome. I mean, it's American as hell, and maybe other cultures wouldn't think that's healthy, but it takes a special person to do that. Tell me more about when you were back in 2015 with me and Shumney and, at the Park Avenue house in Indianapolis, when you decided to start your own business and you were looking at different types of businesses. You and Steve were looking at, I think there was convenience stores at one point. And tell me about the Ritter's deal and how you chose that. Tell me more about the real estate deal. Tell me more about just that experience.
Yeah. In school, I even went to and had an entrepreneurship minor. And I feel like kind of honestly 90% of what I use and know, I've learned it on the fly. Like I've taught myself and just gone through enough business transactions and dealings where you just pick up on things and learn it on our own. So I was kind of like just making stuff up at that point, so we were just looking at different businesses like, hey, we can do this. We were looking at things that we could do, right? Because I can't buy like an architecture firm because I'm not an architect. So we were looking at like a convenience store, a bar, there was a hot dog restaurant that we looked at. And eventually we settled on a Ritter's frozen custard franchise, which I'd actually gone to as a kid. Yeah. Because I was like, hey, that sounds fun. We can do that. And it was at the time, it was pretty run down because a lot of the Ritters had kind of struggled with this, where the owners had kind of just accepted that it was going down,
Yeah.
and they just started taking the money out and not reinvesting into their businesses at all. So it was kind of run down, not looking great. Service probably wasn't the best. So it was in our like price range that, you know, two guys a year out of college could get a loan for.
Sure.
um, and we just kind of went for it. So
Nice.
we took over July 1st in the middle of summer. We trained for a week down in Daytona Beach, and then we come back and they just kind of hand off this Ritters to us.
It's literally just a building. It's a building with Custard and like a cash register and like, all right, do this.
Yeah, so July 1st, right? Midsummer, like midsummer is not a night's dream. And
it's I remember it was the first Sunday. You're like, hey, let's day drink. Let's go. And you're like, dude, I have to work like all day.
I'm like, dude, I don't think you understand. This is 7 days a week, like 12 hours a day, like we're open. And it's like nonstop. And the previous owner was like, by the way, we have 4 employees. Like they had 4 employees. And that's how like slow they were back then. But it was still really busy, like in the evenings.
Yeah.
And I remember on July 4th, he was like, good luck. Everybody requested the day off. And you're a new owner, so I probably wouldn't try and make them work. They're all like pretty adamant about having the day off. And he kind of like, you know, threw us the keys. And we're like, all right. So on July 4th, our 4th day owning this place, it's a holiday. Gosh. Right. So when everybody else is off work, we're the busiest, obviously. So it's a holiday. And like this is before we had a drive-through, but like the walk-up line is just forming. And I remember I had Steve, my partner then, myself, I had my mom, I had Brad, yeah. I think Sophia might have been there. And then I think we had our neighbors who worked at Starbucks. I had 2 of them come in and they were working. And I like showed them really quick, like how to run the register. Like Jeez. It was all hands on deck, no employees. It was the 2 4-day-old owners and like our family and friends. Like,
even just the recipe. How do you make a turtle sundae? How do you make this?
They were like looking at the recipes, and we were honestly just like making it up as we go, dude. Just flying by the seat of our pants. Just like, we've got to figure this out. Who can we call? We've got to get through this. And that first summer was rough, man. There were like open to closes with like no end in sight. Like you don't know when your next day off is going to be.
Yeah.
And that's not a good feeling.
Totally, dude. I mean, I've been there where I feel like trapped in something, and it's like so depressing, and it's so life taking, you know, like you don't feel inspired. You feel like, why am I doing this? So, I mean, I feel that, dude. It sucks. I'm glad that you found Let Up eventually. What led you there? Was it hiring more people, or just tribal knowledge of learning how to be there and how to manage your time and resources? What was it?
Yeah, it's tough in the moment because you have like business coming at you that you have to like handle.
Yeah.
But in order to get ahead of it, you have to like come in early or stay late or something. And you got to like be able to interview and like find people, or it's never going to stop. You know, you're always going to be constantly doing everything yourself.
Yeah.
So you have to find employees. And one of the toughest things, honestly, in business is finding good employees and surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
It's so hard to find people that you can trust and the right people. And I'm getting better at it. Some of the businesses and some of the Ritters are running flawlessly at this point because they have the right people, and some of them don't. And those are the ones that I'm spending all of my time at right now, because we'll try somebody, you think they're the right person, they don't end up being.
Yeah.
But when you have the right people, it makes business in your life so much easier. So when you find those people, you have to like treasure them.
Yeah, for sure, man.
You know, treat them the best you can, because you don't want them to leave and have to start over.
Yeah, that goes across industries, I think, no matter what it is. Like when you have a great employee and they leave, not just that employee and their productivity goes to the window, but you have to train the next person, and that takes time. Then they have to ramp up and learn. It's just like, I don't understand.
Turnover kills you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I sold the Domino's deal at my last company, I sold the deal based on the business value of, hey, there's 30% of your drivers that leave month over month. Let's do everything that we can to make their experience as great as possible. And I sold them a technology that did that, right? And that rang true to the C level at Domino's, because turnover is such a big deal for these companies that are QSRs that are trying to, offer great service with a good product. So I see that.
Yeah, training is expensive. And then when you train somebody and then they quit a week later or something, it's just like
Oh,
heartbreaking. Like I just like poured my heart into like showing you this, and then you're just done. So employee retention is huge.
yeah. Yeah. So talk about just your ability to buy the land and like why you wanted to do that. And like, again, like, okay, another thing coming at me, my second year, like, and
Right.
it's so amazing, like that you even had that opportunity and then you were able to capitalize on it.
Right. So another reason why we liked the Ritters is because we saw like some potential, like a way to improve it, right? Like you need to improve the service. We need to do some landscaping. Like the front of it hadn't been redone in the 25 years that it had been there. Like we needed to paint it and freshen it up. But we also knew that we could add a drive-through, because it's those igloo style buildings they call them, like the round building, and like there's a circle, like a U-shaped horseshoe parking lot around it. We could put a drive-through in. So we had like this vision for it.
Yeah.
And when we were negotiating to buy the business, we just bought the business. And a lot of people probably don't realize like the business, and then you have to think about the land too. The previous owner owned both, but they're separate like transactions. Like you buy the business and then you buy the real estate. And a lot of times people will get a different loan for each one. So what we wanted to do was basically add on to this building that wasn't even ours, which like we could do, but we're paying somebody else rent and we're increasing the value of their property.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So we knew we needed to get the real estate, but I was a year out of school, and I was like, we can't get the real estate because the real estate costs more than the business, and like by 3 or 4 times. And I was like, there's no way we can put down a 20% deposit on the real estate right after we just bought the business and kind of went all in. So what we did was we're like, hey, hold on to it for a little bit. We'll sign a lease with you, but we want first right of refusal if you decide to sell it. Right. So the previous owner, I think it was maybe a month and a half, 2 months later, comes back to us and he goes, hey, I got somebody who wants to buy the real estate. And this is like August, September, and we took over July 1st, and we're just starting to like get the business knowledge underneath us and stuff, and then he hits us with this.
You're still in the mode of trying to hire employees to not have to work 7 days a week, and now it's like, how the heck do I come up with a couple $100,000 to buy this land?
Yeah. And it was the guy who he like was selling it to was some guy like in New York who just like wanted to like some like, I'm picturing some like hedge fund guy just wanted to put it in a fund and like collect the rent for it because we had a 10-year lease.
Yeah.
So the guy was just going to stay in New York. We would never see him. We would just mail him a check every month, and he would pay the mortgage on it. And it sounded terrible.
That'd be demoralizing. Yeah.
Yeah. Just somebody else. And we're just running the business, just slaving away in there. So I was like, we have to make this happen. But we hadn't made that much money in the business in a month or two, to like be able to put it towards the real estate. Cause that was the plan, right? Like we'll make money, we'll save all of it, and we'll put it for the down payment in a year or two on the real estate. But 2 months later, we're like, oh man. So we like kind of like crowdfunded like the 90K or something that we needed, the 20% down payment on the real estate. Like I got a loan from a family member, and I was like, look, like I really could use this because we have this plan to add a drive-through, and we want to grow the business. And it was my grandparents, and at first they said no.
Wow.
They said no. They're like, no, we've had bad experiences loaning money to family members before, and or friends or whatever.
Yeah.
And it causes like tension in the relationship and stuff.
Sure.
And I was like, okay, I understand. And I explored like every other option. And I think we had like 5 days or something to like match this offer, or this other guy was going to buy it. So it came down to like the 11th hour, like the fourth day. And I called him back, and I was like, look, I promise you, I gave him like the Tim Tebow, like you will not find somebody else who like works harder from this day forward,
You gave him the full all in. Like, I promise with every bone in my body.
I was like, I cannot let this happen. Like I am calling in like my favor, like right now I need it. and I will do whatever it takes, name an interest rate, whatever you need. Like I promise you, I won't stop working until I pay this back.
Wow.
And and they were like, okay, like, okay, we'll give you the loan. And it took 2 summers, and I had
Only two.
completely back. But then that was like, I put their debt like above, like, paying my credit card or anything, because I wanted to like them to like have complete confidence
Wow.
in me. And like, my credit is good with my grandparents now.
Wow, dude, props to that. And even just the humility to ask for money, let alone twice, like that takes some perseverance. And I mean, anyone to raise 90K in 4 days, just think about that. Like you did that.
Yeah, we both just pooled whatever we could. And looking back on it, that was one of the biggest defining moments of my life, because
Wow.
we added the drive-through because of that.
Wow.
That Ritter's took off. Like it took off.
It
And
is. Dude. Whenever I go back to Indy, I mean, drive through is just popping, walk up line popping. Like you guys, you're a staple of the West Side there.
yeah, it's got like a cult following now. So from the year we took over to compared to last year, it is doing 3 times as much business.
Killing it, man.
For a business that's been there for 25 years to increase 3x in like the 25th through the 30th year, I'm pretty proud of it. So that decision to get the real estate prompted the drive through, and just like helped the morale, and like, okay, like we can do this, and the confidence. And because of that success, able to get more and more. And I tell my grandparents, like, that was one of the best decisions like in my life, and I'm forever grateful. And I feel like now they're like, we're really glad that we did that. And that's exactly what I wanted them to like get to. Like, you can trust me, like.
Yeah. You made good on your name and the family.
Yeah. So I feel really good about it, and it's kind of was the springboard to get where I'm at.
Yeah.
So
it's funny. There are a couple things in my life that I look back as like inflection points where I've just really been challenged. And I remember I was in Spain studying abroad, and the exchange rate was really bad. I brought $7,000 over for 6 months, and I thought I could make that last, but you know me, not very good with like personal finance. And
I think I get better.
Yeah, I definitely have gotten better. I find that for me, finding creative ways to make more money is easier than saving it. But saving is definitely it's a skill, and it takes practice. But at this point I was running out of money. I was like, okay, I yada, some quick math. I have $10 a day in like April, and I have to stay until June. So I got to figure out a way to make money. I'm 3,000, 4,000 miles away. I'm an English speaker, but I know Spanish. What do I do? And so in Madrid, I started soliciting English teaching classes, English as a second language, ESL. And eventually I put, flyers on, payphones and outside of my building. And I remember my first call, I was like, holy shit, like this is going to work. And I take it, and it's a family that has a 7 and a 9-year-old, and they want their kids to learn English. So while I'm not like a teacher that has a credential or anything, I was able to go to their house for 2 hours every week and speak with their kids. And we'd draw like pictures, and we'd talk about stories, and we'd talk about sports. And I talked to them in English, and they spoke back to me in Spanish, but to their parents, that was worth 15, 20 euros per hour, which translates to like $30 an hour. From there, I took that to, I solicited it online on Craigslist, or the equivalent of that in Spain. And at some point I was teaching 7 or 8 like business consultants English on Saturdays. I'd show up kind of hungover, but like, I had like a lesson plan. I went out and bought like English books, and I just became an English professor, and it was out of necessity. If I didn't do that, well, like, I guess which day am I not eating this week? And it sounds so ridiculous, but like when your back's against the wall like that, if you have a dream, like I wasn't going to like leave early or something. I had to finish my degree, right? Like, just got to figure it out. And that was a super important time in my life of like, honestly, what can't I do now? If I can go around the world, figure it out on my own with no parents or anything, like what can't I do? Where can't I move? What can't I accomplish? And it creates an incredible amount of like inherent confidence as you move into new ventures and new things, to know that you can overcome pretty backbreaking struggle like that, to not be able to eat and then all of a sudden be able to afford more than that. Or for you, you have a dream, you don't want to send that check off to the, no name banker in New York. Now, every day you show up to work, you're building something, you're putting a penny in a piggy bank, right? And you get to own that story. You get to own that franchise for the rest of your life. And you'll get to pass that down to your kids, and you'll get to share your knowledge with other people. And that's just an amazing, amazing story that you shared. So thank you.
Yeah, man. We always kind of connected on that, like the hard work and kind of making it happen and not taking no for an answer kind of thing. And I was watching a TED talk like a while back, and they all, for some reason, everybody who's given a TED talk speech talks the same. Like they all sound the same.
Yeah.
They like, have like that particular like voice when they're giving their TED talk. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
But this one like struck me, and it was a lady. She was talking about like the number one determining factor of if somebody's going to be successful. And like it wasn't, like where you're from, how much your parents make, your race, your sex. It wasn't anything. It was grit. Does a person have grit? That was the number one trait of like someone becoming successful. And like over everything else, that was it. Like, will you turn around when you hit your first roadblock? Because there always is going to be a hurdle before you like reach something that you want. Like one big final like mountain to climb, just to test you, to see if you really want it.
Totally. Dude, this is so interesting. I truly believe in my life that there's a really cool quote. It's like the universe will stop teaching you a lesson when you finally learn what you have to, right? Or it's like until you learn what you have to, the universe or God or whatever your spiritual beliefs are will continue testing you with that specific challenge over and over again until you get it. And I find that once I accept that this is a negative quality about me, or this is an area that I really need to work at, and I make a plan to work at it, and I start implementing that plan, and I truly work at it, that is when that thing changes. You know what I mean?
It is, dude. When you like just determine, when you jump off, like you leap and there's no net, you have to fly. Like when there's no plan B, like you have to do it. Like, mountains will move for you. But until you're like committed, if you have hesitance, like if there's, I should, but I might pull back, I might not, I might pull my money out of that, or, if there's fear and you're not all in, then you might have moderate success, but everything is not going to align for you to be as successful as you can in that field. There's always going to be something holding you back.
Yeah. I think that the trick for entrepreneurs is figuring out a way to continue with that grit and that grind, and just like acting like there's no safety net. Because once you have money, then you start saving it and you figure out how to invest it. But I think that people that have grit naturally never really forget their beginnings or where they come from or what it was like when they had to struggle. And it's like, I think if people that have that quality can just continue to, in a healthy way, of course, don't be anxious, don't be depressed about it. Don't repeat the old patterns and tapes, but just never forget where you come from. You'll continue to have success throughout your life.
Yeah, it's true, man. And a lot of people they just give up kind of just before they get there, and they go back to safety, like the safe job, or the career that they know, they give up their dream. And I see so many people do it where they're like, yeah, I would, but it's just too risky. Or, I needed a stable income, which is good. Then I would say, maybe start something, in the evenings or on the weekends or something. You got to keep your income. But some people never do, like if you had a dream, and I hear people talk about this, like, oh, I want to learn that, or I want to start my own business. Like if you didn't do it during COVID or during quarantine, or if you didn't like take steps and research and like watch YouTube and gain some knowledge or read books towards that area, or start a YouTube channel or a podcast or something like during this time, we will never have more free time in our lives.
I know, man. Yeah.
So when people like in a year are like, yeah, I always wanted to do this, and I'm like, if you didn't do it then, I don't think you're going to do it.
Yeah, I think people get stuck in a rut where they tell themselves, I can't do it, or it'll never work out. And I think the trick is just starting. There's nothing new about that. Just do it badly. You know, I remember like writing a paper in college, like just put words on a paper, and then like in 10 minutes, all of a sudden I could see myself with an outline. Like, okay, I can actually see this happening, right? It's just starting. And I mean, with this podcast, it's like people are like, oh, is it on Apple Podcasts, or, you know, are you going to market? It's like, you know what? Like, I don't even care about that stuff right now. I just want to have awesome conversations. And if it sucks, it sucks. If it doesn't, then that's great. You know, it's just like trying to get lost in the, and just the art of it, and the journey, the present situation of it. I'm not so concerned about what it's going to be, or, you know, even what episode 5 is going to look like. I'm here with you right now, you know,
in the moment. It's great, dude. And I really respect it too, because the number one reason, in my opinion, why people don't start something, like especially on social media or online or whatever, is because they've like gotten to where they are in their career, whatever it is, and they don't want to start over and be seen like at the bottom. You know, like we're in like a social media instant gratification like type society.
Sure.
Nobody wants to like post a picture and see like 4 likes on it. You know, nobody wants to post a YouTube video and see like 10 likes on it, or like 10 viewers, you know, but they don't realize, they don't think about, yeah, but your second video might have 20 people watching it, you know, and then by your 10th video, you might have 100 people. It just takes time and like consistent content to grow that, but nobody wants to be seen struggling. They don't want to be seen at the bottom again.
Totally. You know? It's like people are so caught up in like what the highlight should look like. Oh, what's it going to be when, or, you know, what's your, you know, monetization strategy? It's like, I don't care. And it's whether I have 40 views or 400 or 4,000, like, it's just more about me enjoying this time and creating content and being lost in it. And I think eventually it'll create, the form will shape as it will, right? It's not about,
it'll pivot, and you'll find your avenue of whatever this leads to.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay, dude, let's kick it back up like 10,000 feet. Dude, so I know you're from Indianapolis, big Pacer fan. Do you like the way the team is moving right now? Do you like, you know, how's Indy? Do you have plans to move to Florida or somewhere else and grow the franchise? Tell me about your life outside of work.
Man, Pacers, I honestly don't know. I really like Sabonis. Sabonis is like a walking triple-double. He plays hard every night. Like every night, he's like the stat line that you see, because he just plays hard and he brings it. You know, I like Brogdon. We've got a couple good pieces, but the whole team is just, I don't know if the Pacers are going to get to that next level, you know?
Yeah.
With this coach, you know, I really liked Frank Vogel, and I liked the direction we were going, like the grit, you know, like the hardworking blue collar gold swagger thing we had going a few years back with like David West and George Hill and PG.
Yeah, that was fun.
And still don't know exactly what happened with that team, but it just kind of fell apart and blew up. And I thought that was our chance. Those like Eastern Conference Finals against Miami and LeBron every year were like the peak, you know, of like my Pacers watching days. Like those were so into it. I was like, we're going to get past them this time. And we just never did, man. And that window just closed on us. And we're a smaller market. So like PG wants to go somewhere else. Oladipo wants to go somewhere else. It's just like, how do we, you know, you got to have a really good draft, and you got to have like the right pieces come together to compete with like these super teams now. It's really hard. And we're always like that middle, you know, we just make the playoffs. So you get like the 17th pick type thing, and it's not really game changing. So we're kind of stuck in like that mid-level purgatory right now.
Yeah.
And I don't see a way out with this current roster. I think we got to shake some things up and kind of see where it goes.
Yeah, well, put the in perspective of the business conversation. If you look at the Pacers ownership as like business owners, they want butts in the seats. They want to make the playoffs and have those however many games of revenue for the, like, I don't know that in Indiana our market is maybe strong enough to tank. I don't know, like it's just hard to say. But if you look at it like that, I don't actually blame the owners of the Pacers for not wanting to take more of a risk if they know they can make the playoffs every year. But it's definitely the kind of thing that'll annoy fans. And like, I think everyone's just kind of tired of the monotony of, okay, we won 50, 60 games out of 80, and like, great, 8th seed in the playoffs to get swept by the 1 seed or the 2, you know, it's like, it's not gonna, it's not fun.
Is. Like, you know, I hate tanking too, you know, like I don't believe in it either, because it's just like you're trying to lose. Like, put players out there who are going to give it 100%. You don't want to try and lose. And then what's the coach supposed to say at halftime? Like, hey, good job. We're losing. That's exactly what we should be doing. Like, I hate that too. It's kind of a flawed system a little bit, in my opinion. But I don't know the answer. I'm kind of glad I'm not the owner right now. It's just a tough spot to be. So
Yeah.
We'll kind of see what happens with it.
Yeah. What else? I mean, when you're not at work, are you reading books or investing in anything specifically? What do you like to do outside of work?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was talking about like during COVID, like what did you do? What did you accomplish? And I became like a YouTube fiend a little bit, and not like watching like stupid like funny videos or anything. I was watching like and learning about crypto,
Yeah.
cryptocurrency, which I'm like very confident at this point is the future. Like blockchain is going to be around.
That's so
I
cool.
mean, yeah, I think like our elections at some point are going to be on blockchain technology. So each person gets like one vote, and it's monitored. And then like once that's done, like it's confirmed, and it just all this technology and stuff. It's very interesting. I've learned a lot, and there's like a whole nother world out there. And just seeing the gains and the ups and downs of it. It's kind of a wild ride, but I think blockchain and the cryptocurrency market, I think honestly, it's like the opportunity of our generation.
Yeah, it definitely is disruptive for anything in the financial world and for investments in general. I mean, I was talking to my buddy this weekend. I looked on my phone and it's at $56,000 per share of Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, what? Like, I thought $300 was expensive a couple of years ago. And to think that I could have thrown down 300 and, in theory, I've cashed that out at this point and made 56,000. It's like, that is ridiculous growth. And I know it's gone up and down and whatever, but it's I've never seen a currency do that.
Yeah. So one thing that a lot of people don't understand is that you can buy like a percent of a Bitcoin. You don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. So you don't have to throw in $56,000. You can throw in, $20 and get like 0.001 of a Bitcoin.
Okay.
Like you don't have to have, it's not like the stock market. You don't have to get like a whole one. You can buy fractions of a coin or whatnot. And, it's tricky giving, financial advice because it's going to go up and down, and it may go way back down before it gets there. But I think long-term, eventually, I think Bitcoin goes to several $100,000 to $1 million.
Jeez. And I mean, I know my friend who we were talking about it, he just said that he had a buddy at work. Everyone was like, oh, this guy's so annoying. All he does is talk about Bitcoin. He's just so obnoxious with it. He's putting his money that, would have gone to a 401k or whatever to Bitcoin. And that guy's living in Thailand right now, just a millionaire, multimillionaire, because he has he cashed out so heavily. I think he still has some too.
Yeah, you got to get in and you got to get out, and you got to know kind of what you're doing and take profit along the way. Like you got to be smart about it. But the thing about it is too, is if you are okay holding it long term, then you just kind of put it in and don't think about it, because people always see crypto and they're like, oh yeah, but it went back down, it dropped 50% in a day. And like, that's going to happen in crypto. Like it's extremely volatile.
Yeah.
Ethereum, for example, hit its all-time high today. So for however long there's been Ethereum, the last 8 or 9 years, if you bought Ethereum at any time during that and you just held it, you would be in profit today.
Yeah. What else do you own do you own Bitcoin, Ethereum, or do you pick and choose? How does that work?
Yeah. So remember I told you I got into YouTube. I have like 20 coins or projects, as they call them now, and that I like really believe in. And what they have on these cryptos is they have like the white papers, basically, which like explain all the coins and projects are like attempting to solve like a real world problem. I'm in like 20 coins right now, so a bunch of different ones to kind of diversify, and some of them may fizzle out and become nothing.
Yeah.
But the losses are offset by the ones that are going to 10, 20, 50x. There's going to be some that go crazy.
Yeah, and that's not too different than tech investing. Like for VCs that are investing in like seed companies, these are just massive funds. And if they take a bet on 100 companies and one is the next Airbnb or Facebook, they're okay with that.
That's the thing, right? People compare this to like the .com bubble and stuff, right? But like Amazon came out of the .com bubble. Like you just got to be in the right one, and it's going to offset all of your losses, and you're going to do fine. just diversify, pick a few good ones, read what they do, and kind of watch it go up and down. You got to think long term, because you can't put it in and panic sell the next day because it drops 20%. Like, you've got to be able to just hold it, maybe don't even look at it for a while, forget about it, put in some money that you can afford to just invest. And I think you're going to be happy long term. My favorite project right now is VeChain. It's like a supply chain management coin.
Is it V as in Victor chain?
VE chain. Yeah.
Okay.
The like
VE
ticker
chain.
symbol, if it was a stock, would be VET.
Yeah.
I got in around 3 cents. And but you have to watch the market cap. You can't always just look at the price, right? Because there could be a billion coins. And it's gone up significantly. It's 20 something cents right now. But that's a good return on, percentage wise on your money. You're not going to find a lot of those in the stock market right now.
Yeah.
And what it can do is they gave the example of like a Louis Vuitton purse. Like, there's fakes, right? So what they can do is, with this technology, they can put like a little microchip or something in the real authentic purses, that like when you scan it, it's got like the serial number and like an authentication, something that shows you that it's real. So even if you're buying one on the secondhand market from like a Goodwill or something, you can scan it and you can see if it's real or not. And it completely like blows the fake market out of the water. Like, you can't fake things anymore.
When you said that our elections will be on blockchain, how is that possible? What does that mean?
Right. So there's basically what happens is that one person gets confirmed like via the blockchain. And as soon as you vote, then you're like locked out, and you have to be like a registered voter, right? So it could help with election integrity as well. And then once you place your vote, like, everybody gets one vote, and once you do it, you can't vote again. You don't even have to go to a ballot box anymore. It's like, and it takes all of these computers to confirm it, to make sure that it's authentic. And it's really fascinating.
Yeah, that's so cool. I saw a podcast recently where someone was talking about how this is the generation of like basically the fall of the institution. Not totally fall. Like, I think JP Morgan Chase having ATMs on every corner will be a thing for a while. But, like, we as millennials, as upcoming generations, don't want this huge institution governing what we can and can't do. And I think this idea of there is a finite number of Bitcoin, or this is right, the real Louis Vuitton purse, without having a middleman take their cut, or even just have to go past an advertisement or something, right? Like, I want the real thing, and I don't want to have to pay Uncle Sam to get there.
Right, exactly. And like the decreasing supply of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is like the first to market, like the big name. So institutions are starting to get in now. Tesla just bought a bunch. Yep. And Bitcoin is becoming more and more scarce on the markets, right? Because people are buying them and they're just storing them, they're just holding them. And eventually there's going to be a time when it just keeps increasing the price when there's not a ton of Bitcoin on the markets anymore, and you're going to have to pay a lot of money for somebody else to cough up their Bitcoin, because they've been seeing the prices, kind of go up for so long. So it's exciting and scary at the same time.
Yeah, it's cool to see that these big kind of household names, Wells Fargo, Tesla, Chase, whatever, whoever the company is seeing that it's something to contend with, even if they're not totally pro Bitcoin or pro crypto. It's really cool. So let's wrap it up here. I'll ask you a serious question, and then I'll ask you a simple question. All right. So serious question is, what does success look like to you? Let me know.
Like in my life personally?
Yeah, like now or later, like, because some people would say, oh, I'm successful, I'm a quadruple billionaire, whatever that is, but I have a horrible relationship with my kids, or like everyone hates me. Like, I don't know if that's success. What is it to you?
That's a good question. Well, I think you have to have a balanced life, and I'm not the best person to talk to about that right now. I'm really trying to get there though. But what it is, honestly, is having time, because time is your most valuable resource. The older I get, the more you realize that, right? In the beginning, you just want money, and you'll trade all of your time for money. But I want to get to the point where I can trade money for time, if that makes sense. I want to be able to spend time with a family that I don't have yet, but vacation, and have a nice house with a boat, and travel and see things, and experience life.
Yeah.
And sure, I always want to be checking in on the businesses, not because I have to, but because that just like excites me to like watch things grow. So I always tell people like my like meter for when I get there is I want to be making more money that I'm spending when I'm not working.
Okay. Let me think
Does that
about
make
that.
sense?
So let's say you're on vacation, or maybe a little less. You're living at your house in Indy, and you're having a standard day. You're going out for pizza that night. Your expenses for that day, you're not working, but you're still having expenses. Take your mortgage divided by 30 or whatever that is, and like
Right.
trying to look at that and saying, if I'm not working, but I'm still making more than I'm spending, this is success. Well, dude, I feel like that can't be too far off. Don't disclose too much into your finances. You'll be there long. I can't believe that you paid your grandparents back in 2 years. That's remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived very, very frugally because like the growth phase just excites me, man. I just like, people say like tattoos are addicting. Like getting another business is addicting to me. So
Yeah.
like I bought a car, and other than that, like I get clothes at Christmas. Like I don't spend money on myself. I just save it, and I want to get another business, dude. That's like what motivates me right now, and that's what like gets me going.
That's badass, dude. It's really motivating. Okay, simple question. What is your favorite Ritter's frozen custard flavor?
Turtle something.
Ooh, I gotta say, hell of a turtle sundae at that place.
Yeah, turtle sundaes are great. We have a flavor of custard called turtle something, which is basically the turtle sundae in a custard flavor. So it's a caramel base. It's got pecans in it, more caramel, and like chocolate chips, and it just works together, man. It's just good.
That sounds amazing.
It's so good.
I'm a big chocolate and caramel on vanilla ice cream kind of person. Oh, it's just it's heavenly.
Yeah, so, I already know when you would come up when you lived in Indy, dude, just a turtle sundae, just every have it time. Ready for you.
Dude, it's the simple things, I'm telling you.
Absolutely, man.
All right, dude. Amazing talk with you and catching up. I mean, there's parts of that story I didn't even realize about. I mean, just awesome grit you have, and really appreciate your friendship. Let's catch up in a couple weeks, man.
Yeah, love it, man. I got to get up to Chicago this summer at some point.
Yeah, please do. We'll do something fun, hit a Cubs game or something. But if not that, then I'll be home hopefully for Memorial Day weekend, and we'll link up. All right.
All right, you got it, man.
All right, see you, buddy. Bye.
Yeah, see ya.